Hello folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte here in Miami, Bitcoin 2022. But there's a ton of really great news that has hit the market despite the negative price action that we've seen over the past couple days. We have two $200 million deals that just were announced this week that we really want to talk about, including Near as well as Avalanche. So would you like to start by talking a little bit about AVAX and how they're now going to be integrated with the Luna?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Luna's been all over the news recently, but they're making a big splash in the crypto world with their purchase of Bitcoin. And actually, yesterday, they announced that they will be partnering with AVAX and adding some AVAX to their reserves, just like they did with Bitcoin. So, not only is this, a positive for Luna in the sense that it's adding another element of liquidity, another reserve to their economy, which is very long-term bullish, but it's also very good for AVAX as well because it provides some short-term demand and also takes some supply off the market as well. So encouraging to see those layer ones cooperating, and hopefully it leads to some positive price action for both Luna and AVAX.
Yeah, and they're going to be buying $100 million worth of AVAX as a start, and I think this is just really a great showing of respect on the behalf of Luna, commending AVAX on their work and what they've accomplished in the field. But I think this is a larger theme that we're likely going to see more of, and that's the theme of composability. In 2017, during that era, you had a lot of different blockchains like Tron and Ethereum, and they were competing for mind share. But now, when we have EVM-compatible layers, and we have a lot of these things where the more that gets built, ultimately the more value throws through all of these ecosystems, I think they really have a great incentive to work together. So why don't we get to the second deal now, which is Near Protocol, raising $230 million for development, led by FTX Ventures, as well as some other very large firms in the space. And you want to tell us a little bit about the rally and how you see price action in Near behaving?
Yeah, so like you said, some very impressive funding from FTX, Dragonfly, and others for Near Protocol, and that resulted in a nice spike in speculation, went all the way up to above the $19 level, retesting all-time highs before pulling back a little bit, seeing some modest profit taking. But Near has really stood out in the last couple weeks here as one of the best performing assets in the space. We talk about it a lot because it is one of the most commonly held assets by funds. In 2021, it was the most commonly acquired assets by funds, and I think we're starting to see some of that, supply squeeze starting to result in some positive price action. So Near is up, retesting those all-time highs, almost in price discovery, and I don't think that's too surprising given the positive news and also just my experience around here at the conference. Lots of people are talking about Near, lots of people are interested in it, so it's not just the institutional half of the puzzle, also the retail traders are interested in it as well. So I think that's what we're seeing from Near. I'm still riding it, and I think it's very close to making all-time highs here.
Yeah, just disclosure, we both hold it, so we'll probably talk a little bit more positive about it as opposed to negative. But I think, you guys got to use these protocols if you haven't. Just go into the Near ecosystem, see how it works. It's truly a beautiful experience. They're very fast, and with all this funding, they're going to have a ton of new applications like Rev Finance get even further developed. I think that a great spot for future opportunities in the Near ecosystem is looking at these various projects. One that I like is the Oracle network that I hold just a little bit of is Flux Protocol, as well as Rev Finance. And also, keep an eye on some of the Near NFTs because they're starting to build very powerful communities that aren't truly in the limelight yet. So there may be a little bit of alpha there, but can't guarantee it yet.
Absolutely, and I think it's pretty clear that the future is multi-chain. And one other thing, CJ, we're hearing some whispers that Near will also be releasing a stable coin, USN. Why do you think that could be an important catalyst for Near?
Well, we've seen the success that Terra has had with UST, ultimately creating demand for Luna initially. If they pull this off and create a very successful stablecoin that has a lot of adoption, they will presumably have a lot more demand for Near as well that could push price much higher. I still think it's going to be difficult for any new decentralized stablecoin to necessarily rival UST's dominance at this particular point, having a roughly $16 to $17 billion market cap. Nevertheless, it's extraordinarily promising to see Near put that together and put their best foot forward. But we are down a little bit in the markets today, just falling below 43K, testing some critical support on the weekly chart. But I have to say, we're still creating higher lows and higher highs. I do see that there's a gap in the NASDAQ as well as the S&P that will likely fill. We really like the gap fill strategy for many equities. So that will presumably bring Bitcoin with it if we have kind of that inverse head and shoulders pattern that truly does form and then play out on the SPX. Do you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that today will be an interesting day. It's going to be. It looks like Bitcoin is pulling back in tandem with the equity markets, but tomorrow equity markets won't be trading. Bitcoin will be. And just a few weekends ago, we saw some very positive price action over the weekend for not only Bitcoin but for a lot of alts as well. So I think right now we may actually be seeing the traditional equity market holding Bitcoin back just a bit, and perhaps we could see some positive price action this weekend. So watch out for some assets that have been showing resilience. I actually really like ETH here as well. At anywhere between the 3K and the 3,200 level, I think ETH is a great buy. It's looked incredibly resilient, and like you said, continuing to make higher lows, seeing strong demand. So those are the things you want to see despite lack of positive price action.
Yeah, I saw a really interesting statistic just on a side note yesterday. Was that if you look at Robinhood, the most frequently dollar cost averaged asset is actually Bitcoin, and I think you have Tesla behind that as well. No surprise there. But you have these constant flows of demand, and when you look at wallets with only 0.1 Bitcoin, 1 Bitcoin, or 10 Bitcoins at the very max, they've been consistently stacking sats since the last year, where you've had traditional funds in the TradFi world that maybe wanted a little bit more exposure to higher beta in things like Solana, really get shaken out after the November crash. So we'll see if they come back as prices begin to trend here. But either way, any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with, Monty?
Just on that note, I saw an interesting statistic in our chat shared this morning that 64% of the total current supply of Bitcoin has not moved in over a year, which is a record for the last 365 days. So some good supply dynamics playing out here despite this negative price action. So just keep an eye on the charts, keep an eye on the technical levels. 42K is a highly critical level for Bitcoin, so we'll see if we find support there. But I think that's all I got for today. Excited to check out the conference and talk with some more people.
Yeah, and if you are here, a Market Rebellion member, or just want to come see us and meet us, come up to our booth. We're right here by column 10, and perhaps we can give you some free merch or some other good stuff. But either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day in the world wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.